The following is a presentation of the Nerd Complex Podcast Network.
You are listening to Audio Suplex Live. What's up, everybody?
That bass line just goes. I love it.
It goes for days. Hey, I just got a notification that Audio Suplex Live is live on Facebook.
We're always live on Facebook. So,
well, we're not.
Not last
always.
Week. Last week we took a week off. Corey had what we're going to call the beginning of hashtag Baby Watch 2017.
I feel like we've been watching for weeks.
Yeah, it's been going on for a while, man. We're getting down to the nitty gritty here with hashtag Baby Watch 2017. So
yeah, we skipped last week because I was going to have my baby last week.
You were supposed to.
And here we are a week later, still no baby.
Still no baby. You're Sam's baby.
No baby.
Yeah. So, and then last week I also had to officiate a wedding for a good friend of the show. We've had him on before. Tyler Dreyer joined us on here for our WrestleMania preview special many moons ago. His wedding was last weekend, and yours truly officiated. So, and also had a crazy weekend. So
we won't go too far.
Yeah, listen, this is a PG podcast. You guys don't need to know every excruciating detail of what happened to me last weekend. All you need to know is that we're here today. We're here with you now live via Facebook, or if you're listening to this later in your car or on your way to work or anything like that, we're here for you.
On YouTube or Podbean? Or?
You can, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you guys want to listen to us and check us out at. You can watch us if you want. We're handsome.
Don't watch us while you drive.
Yeah, I've done that.
I've listened.
Yeah. I put the YouTube video on.
Yeah, but you don't look at it though, right? You don't look at it.
There's some cars behind me down old Secor Road here, which is a main highway here in our own home and native land that probably don't like being behind me when I'm trying to watch our show on the way home. Because I'm an egotist and I just have to watch it back immediately after.
I need to see how I look. See, I have the benefit. There's a television directly across from me.
Yeah, you can.
I watch the whole show live.
Yeah,
I honestly, I don't even look at you in front of me.
Look at me.
I look at you on the TV screen because I want to see what the people see.
Yeah, I love it.
That's why I wear the glasses. I don't want it to look like I'm looking off.
And how far have we come, dude? Like when we started, I was actually looking back some of the older episodes. We had like the logo that we had with like the SmackDown kind of feel and everything like that, which is loved it when we started out the gate. But like now we have we got our own little spinning logo here, and Joe's really kind of like every crazy request that we have sent to Joe in terms of like, yo, can we do this? Can we do that? He goes, yeah, why not? So here we are.
Perfect.
Yeah. So we've got a loaded show this week.
Hopefully. I'm
looking at that first little bit of news topic there, and once we get to that, your boy is going to get out his soapbox, and I'm going to stand up on it for quite some time, and we're gonna pontificate on that point too.
Well, we'll get to that in just a moment. We do have a special guest today
joining us at some point.
Super so special,
very special.
We're bringing them in. Specially later,
absolutely. So
because they're not here yet,
but
when they get here, we're gonna get into things about that person. But before that,
he's got a name. His name is Jason Franchise. He wrestles for Northwest Ohio Wrestling.
Currently,
I know you were trying to hype him up as like a mystery guest, but his picture is kind of
it's not there. You are there. It's not there. You are there.
Shit.
They did probably see it.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the news. It's the news.
It is the news. A lot to talk about this week.
I love that sound clip.
Yeah, no, it's it's probably
that should just be our new
everything, like our new entrance music
and everything. Our outro music.
Yeah.
So
the hugest news story this week literally just broke maybe about 30 to 40 minutes ago before we went on the air today.
It just broke to me about 5 minutes
ago. I literally just told Corey. Corey had no idea. So WWE has released the following superstars from their contracts: Emma, Darren Young, and Summer Rae.
Good riddance.
So
is Asuka gone?
No, she is not gone. She beat Emma so badly.
They had to fire
at TLC
her.
That they had to let her go and get her out of the company. Just get her out.
I heard something different. I heard that Emma was told she had to make Asuka look good, and Emma was like, well, if she was good, I wouldn't have to do all this making her look good stuff. And so then she quit.
Here, give me 1 second. I'm actually talking to our guest. So
Perfect.
if you want to pontificate a little bit.
I'm actually, I just made that up. So
you are terrible at that.
So Darren Young.
Nobody listens to us
Summer
for
Rae,
the news, by the way. Everybody just
Summer
listens to
Rae,
us for...
and Emma. I know you have some thoughts about Emma. I think Darren Young, overall, he's pretty talented. He just never really had a character that connected with the audience. You know, he's kind of good. He looks like a wrestler.
I think the highlight of Darren Young's WWE career was most definitely the time that he spent either as part of the Nexus or as part of the Primetime Players. But since then, he has literally just kind of like swam around in what I like to kind of refer to as WWE creative purgatory, where it's like, okay, well, you're healthy again. Like, the injury obviously didn't help him. You know, they were trying something with the Bob Backlund, make Darren Young great again gimmick, and even that, though, to a certain extent, was not connecting with customers. Well, I guess customers.
That's absolutely one thing.
Yeah, he had like that weird forced feud with Titus for a second, and now Titus is obviously doing the whole, you know, Titus Worldwide thing. Summer Rae literally has been off of everybody's radar, you know, for quite some time.
She's not even a talented wrestler, so...
No, I think she had a lot to offer in terms of, like, character. There was a lot of things I liked about her. I went back and actually watched some of her stuff with Fandango from a while ago, where Fandango has that classic line where he says, like, "You're not even real journalism." Like, super funny, subtle comedic timing between those two, and I absolutely loved it. It's something that you don't really see, because everything in WWE creative,
Fandango's the best.
I feel like is very, obviously everybody knows everything is very scripted to this point. So when you get those subtle little, like, humor punches in there, like that you would get with Summer Rae and like Fandango and stuff like that, I absolutely loved it. Now, Emma.
Tell me about it. Lay it on me.
I told Corey before we started the show that this news story was going to get me onto a rant, and I've been kind of thinking a lot about this lately. So we're now 2017 to the point of the year where Neville has asked for his release. Emma, supposedly, as far as I can tell, from what I've read thus far, has asked for her release. You just have talent kind of like mass exiting. Austin Aries, previous to this, you know, it's kind of interesting. So you have this like really weird situation with WWE where they're bringing in probably the best collection of professional wrestling talent on the planet in history. Now, some people could argue that like during like the Attitude Era, there was like the best group of talent that they've ever had. Some would argue that during, I mean, at that point,
I loved the Attitude Era, but I wouldn't say
your top tier guys were like,
as far as quality.
No. But what I'm saying is like this might be the best era in terms of both in-ring quality and storytelling ability. Look at the roster. They have Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura. You know, but you add into that your holdovers from the previous era with like your John Cena's, your Randy Orton's, who now your grizzled veterans that, you know, can still kind of go in the ring and also can definitely pull from a character side of things. But because the way the company is handled anymore, you have these situations where talent, who is incredibly talented, like I'm a big Emma fan. I think she's fantastic.
Yeah, she's really good.
Are completely A, used improperly, and B, underutilized in general. You know, okay, so your average WWE week has 5 hours of broadcast television. You mean to tell me that you can't find something for everybody to do that displays their character in a good way and gets them adequate TV time in 5 hours?
It is hard.
It's hard.
It can be, especially with how big the rosters are right now.
Well, and I get that.
You just got to cycle them in. Okay, it's your turn to have. You're in a highlighted feud. You know, you need more guys taking time off.
At some point,
you lose a big feud, you go away for 2 months.
I was watching, I believe it was a What Culture video the other day, which we'll kind of get to a little bit later. I was watching a What Culture video the other day where they had made the comment about how WWE.
What culture?
It's kind of like Cultaholics, but you know, a little older and a little less
That's not
charismatic.
what I was making a different joke.
But the point I'm trying
this
to...
culture or that culture? What culture is it?
I see what you did there.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
The point I'm trying to make is they're in a situation now where they have 5 hours of programming a week, and they made... Okay, so back to the What Culture video. They made a point on the video where it said something like to the effect of, WWE commentators don't even commentate anymore. The role of the commentator now is basically to be the salesperson, because every time you tune into commentary, they're either selling you on the upcoming pay-per-view, they're selling you on the network, they're selling you on the sponsor, they're selling you on WWEshop.com.
Drinking Diet Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew Kickstart. Like, so that in and of itself, like your commentators aren't even storytelling anymore. I guess Corey Graves would probably be the best example of storytelling and commentary, and even he has been homogenized to the point of corporate shilling. And I could see where somebody like an Austin Aries that, like, you know, or Neville, who came up on the indie scene, kind of like it. How do you feel if you come up to WWE? And your whole life, you've looked at WWE as just like, wow, that's the place I want my career to go. That's where I want to end up. And then you get there and you're told, okay, well, we don't have anything for you right now because we have to take, you know, I did the math. How many hours of of Raw is commercials? We had to start paying attention to commercials because we start hosting Raw and we do trivia during commercials.
Yeah.
It's so much. And it
is a lot.
So here's the point I'm trying to get at. We're getting to this point now where you have talent that knows they're talented backstage that are getting restless. They want more. They want to do more. They want to show and shine, and they want to have a platform to let their character speak and actually get out there and, you know, do something. You know, they want to be professional wrestlers. Every professional wrestler wants to be the star of the show. And now, so you're having all these people who are, because of how successful indie wrestling has been the last couple of years with like your Joey Ryans and your Young Bucks and your Bullet Club, making names for themselves and actually showing that you can be the indie scene can be a viable option for an indie wrestler. And then you have Austin Aries tweeting out about how he's getting a better payday in, you know, 2 indie shows than he is his entire WWE thing.
I mean, I think that works out for a lot of guys. Drew McIntyre is a good example of, you know, it wasn't working, he left and came back.
I have a really bad feeling that we're going to get to a situation here with WWE where all these wrestlers who think that they are much bigger than they actually are, and that's not taken away from an Emma or a Darren Young or something like that, or a Jack Swagger, where they look at their situation in WWE and go, well, I could be doing what Austin Aries did and be doing a lot better than this. And then your indie scene is going to get crowded with these former WWE wrestlers that want to command too much money, and then your indie talent that's trying to come up and make a name for themselves is going to get buried.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that.
I was having this thought on the way over here, dude. I think this is actually incredibly unhealthy for the wrestling business in general.
Yeah.
You know,
you can't have too many people doing it at once.
Exactly.
You oversaturate the market, and that ruins, you know,
there's always
wrestling for the time.
In professional wrestling, there has always been a binge and purge cycle with wrestlers. Yeah. You have somebody who goes to WWE from the independent scene. They go there, get a name for themselves. Maybe not a huge name. Maybe they're never like a champion or never like a world champion. Maybe they're just like a mid-tier mid-tier guy. But then they get released and they go back to the indie scene where they're able to command more money. And then in some situations they may return back to WWE. They may not. Right. You know, but it traditionally that has helped wrestling as a whole, because that wrestler going back to the indie scene is going to draw fans to the shows, which is going to obviously help, you know, promote indie wrestling and get people coming out to shows. And that's going to bring more people interested in becoming professional wrestlers. And then your people who like, you know, your Leo Rushes and your, you know, Velveteen Dreams who are on and Aleister Blacks that are come through that indie scene, then go to WWE, make a bit of a name for themselves, and hopefully get to the top of the card at some point in their career. But if not, then the cycle continues. My biggest problem and my biggest fear is that we're getting way too much of it at one time. Like, all these people are literally telling WWE, well, the Young Bucks can go make a ton of money selling t-shirts at Hot Topic. Why can't I do it now?
Well, as the 3 releases of today, I don't think I don't think Summer Rae plans on going out and making more money.
And they may not. Darren Young will probably jump on the indie
I'm sure
scene.
He will. Emma, I'm sure she will too, but I don't think either of them left with the idea of, I'm going to go make more money on the indie scene.
Right now,
just they're not happy.
If I'm Impact Wrestling, I'm chomping at the bit right now to get Emma in my building.
You're not paying. They're broke. Anthem just pulled all of their sponsorship. So you may not know this about TNA, but they were not purchased by Anthem. What happened was Anthem donated a ton of money. Like, they're like, here's a bunch of money. We're going to write up a contract. We're going to figure some out. But until then, here's a bunch of money. So Impact Wrestling was like, okay, we'll call it Anthem Wrestling, blah, blah, blah. Well, Anthem just pulled back. They're like, all right, well, we're not giving you any more money. There's no contract coming. So at this point, TNA or Impact Wrestling, whatever you want to call it, no connections with Global Force Wrestling anymore. No connections with Anthem Sports. Their biggest pay-per-view of the year, Bound for Glory. I think, is that about to happen?
Yeah, it's coming up here pretty soon.
In November, I believe?
Yeah, I believe so.
So, I mean, TNA or Impact or whatever you want to call it could be in new ownership or out of business here by the end of the year. I mean, like I said, Anthem they were giving them a ton of money to sign these guys. John Morrison.
Emma will be successful on the independent scene.
I don't think TNA's the place, though.
I'm just saying, like, I'm not worried about her, so to speak, as much as I'm just really worried about how WWE is forcing their own talent out of the building, and then you're now going to have an independent scene that is completely bloated. This could be, you know what? This could end up being really good, because maybe this will give an ROH that extra, or an Impact Wrestling, probably not Impact Wrestling because of their a literal tire fire right now.
Always.
But like an ROH situation where all these top tier talents are becoming available, and WWE is clearly not utilizing them properly.
And show them how to do it right.
What I would like to see happen from this is somebody get reinvested in actual professional wrestling as a valid entertainment format and not a corporate shilling, enterprise, and try to put out a good show.
Yeah.
With this talent that wants to put on a good show. There's a hunger, almost like like a renaissance of professional wrestlers who want to put on a great show and not necessarily sell Mountain Dew.
And Mountain Dew's pretty good, though.
Mountain Dew's good.
Especially Code Red.
I know you're a big fan. But that's kind of my rant on this. Like, it's just, I could see positive coming from this in the sense of it creates more competition, and hopefully that lights a fire under WWE's ass to,
possibly
stop rotating their tires. They're literally just spinning their tires on a lot of this talent.
Yeah.
So,
well, I guess we'll see here. It's definitely going to cause waves one way or another, whether they're good or bad. I guess we'll see.
I would just like to see. I would just like to see professional wrestling return to, not necessarily, because there's a lot of things I didn't like about the Attitude Era growing up. Like, there's a lot of things I look back at it and go, like, yeah, that was really shitty. But I would like to see the true, like, use of the format to tell interesting and compelling stories return to wrestling. Because right now, if you watch the main roster stuff, it's not there.
Right.
There's no compelling stories being told on the main roster whatsoever. I can't tell you the last main roster feud that I was genuinely invested in.
Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon.
That was probably the most invested. And even that was, to a certain extent, very
homogenized.
homogenized.
Because he headbutted Vince.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, it was good.
Surprised me, WWE. Like, I would really like to reinvest myself in what you're doing on the main rosters, but it's really hard to do.
Yeah.
When you're just trying to sell me the network or whatever, sponsorship thing that you're doing this given month. And also, stop trying to make Ultimate Warrior look like he was a good person. Stop. He was a terrible person and should definitely not be the face of any charitable endeavors that you're trying to do. Put him in the Hall of Fame, that's fine, but I told you, dude, I'm ranty today.
Speaking of ranty, have you heard about this Ronda Rousey?
Never heard of her.
Well,
what does she do?
She is I'm not really sure what she is. She's a woman. No, she's from UFC. Maybe you've heard of that. She is a professional fighter. She's in the Performance Center. Spotted in the Performance Center this week or last week, maybe. She's got there.
That's huge,
training
man.
At the Performance Center. She looks like the 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen match at WrestleMania may still be a thing.
That'll be interesting, man.
I see dollar signs when I hear or talk about Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
I mean, she's definitely a big name that, will pull over maybe some UFC fans over to professional wrestling.
That's the kind of situation where I feel like Vince McMahon looks at that situation and goes, okay, how can I make this happen and make some money off of this?
It's not going to be that hard.
And it's going to be Mania.
Even if it's just one match.
Yeah.
But hopefully she sticks around. I mean, she would be definitely a big name for the women's division if she's able to hang.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure she will.
It'll help. It'll help bring in viewers, that's for sure. I just don't know if right now is the right time to bring new viewers into WWE. Because like I said, it's
a bad time to start watching.
Yeah, I hate to say it, dude. Like, there's nothing compelling right now. I guess maybe I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they'll start telling some interesting stories if you do get like a Ronda Rousey in, and that'll kind of force their hand. But
we're getting around. Okay, so we're coming up on another one of the big four, Survivor Series, which is typical. I mean, I really like Survivor Series. I like the traditional 5-on-5 elimination matches.
We didn't get really a chance to talk to each other much post Monday about the whole Under Siege thing.
Yeah, I was actually going to possibly write Under Siege on the board to talk about.
I mean, we can talk about it real quick because it's kind of like on hand what we're talking about.
Yeah, I like the idea of Raw versus SmackDown. I can see there's a lot of negatives for sure. Your storylines on Raw with your Raw characters are all going to be put on hold until after.
Same thing with SmackDown.
Same thing with SmackDown,
yeah.
Correct. So you're going to have mini feuds until Survivor Series, but you're also going to want to create the unified front of SmackDown versus Raw. So,
which is really hard to do because like you spend 11 months out of the year booking each individual roster and each individual show is like
against each other.
Like, so like Jinder Mahal, like, or like we'll look at the teams. They haven't announced formally what the teams are yet, I don't think. But like, so like, you know, obviously there's going to be infighting on the teams and stuff like that, but there was like no real build as to why do I want to believe that a week ago Baron Corbin hates everybody on the SmackDown roster, and then
he's
now
with them attacking all the Raw guys backstage.
They did nothing to explain that, which kind of put me in a position of like, okay, well, this is cool to see this like cross promotional thing because you don't see it too often anymore with the true brand split that we have.
It's been over a year, yeah.
So, but I'm still not invested yet. Like, it looked cool.
I think my only real big problem with it is, and the only feud that's really is AJ Styles and Jinder Mahal feud. That could be happening, but instead they're doing Jinder versus Brock for nothing. I mean, it's either Brock's going to destroy him or Jinder's going to cheat.
I hate to say it, man. I honestly, genuinely think that this Survivor Series is going to be a filler show with not a lot of advancement in any direction for stories.
Well, there's no. That's not true. I think the dissension and maybe some of the teams will definitely lead to storylines.
Maybe like a little bit there, but like. That's insane. Yeah. I'm
excited about
it. I'm actually really excited to get past this and get more to the Royal Rumble. That's where I'm really going to start to get kind of
your bread and butter. It's in Philly this year.
Okay, so Royal Rumble this year is like literally set up for me to be all in.
We're going to NXT, right?
I hope so. NXT TakeOver Philadelphia.
Your favorite city, my least favorite city.
Yeah, it's because you haven't experienced Travis's Philadelphia.
Maybe I've been doing it wrong. I heard it's always sunny there, and it was not.
It is not always sunny in Philadelphia, which I spent a lot of time this weekend watching. It's not, but it is.
Is that a good representation of Philadelphia, that show?
It's not the worst representation of Philadelphia. I'll tell you that.
They filmed that in L.A., right?
I know, but
where they're all from.
It's an interesting take on Philadelphians. Like, because they are definitely a weird bunch. Like, I can understand why the national perception of Philadelphians is generally negative.
Yeah.
You know, because Philadelphians are a very, like, stubborn, hard-nosed, you know, blue-collar kind of people. And there's a reason ECW is from Philadelphia. There's a reason.
I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know. But a Philadelphian and a Bostonian, I feel like similar.
Yes, but no. It's kind of like those two brothers who are so similar to one another that they hate each other.
Well, I'm not saying that they like each other. I'm just saying that like the feel of the community.
And Philadelphia always has an inferiority complex of itself because it's literally, okay, so Philadelphia is weird. It's an hour and a half from New York City, which is the city that everybody talks about.
It's the best city in the world.
And trust me, Philadelphians are tired of hearing that. Because Philadelphians...
Put that on the screen.
That's fine. Philadelphians are tired of hearing about how great New York is. Like, so
that's pretty cool, though.
That in and of itself is enough for Philadelphia to be like, no, F New York forever. Like, Philadelphia and New York is not like it's a feud, my dude, for sure. But even with other cities, like Philadelphia
DC's not very far from Philly.
Yeah, I don't think there's like any animosity between DC and Philadelphia besides maybe sports. You know, it's not like Philadelphia sees itself as inferior to Washington, but like Philadelphia will always have that little brother complex when it comes to New York City, and that's kind of what fuels a lot of that energy and that attitude of like, you know, screw you, we're not worse than you, we're cool. You know, ECW. You can have your WWE in New York and stuff like that. We're in a bingo hall in Philadelphia, and we're gonna like put on the most gruesome, sex-ridden, violent show that we can get away with because it's anti whatever WWE's doing in New York. Because it's New York versus Philadelphia, straight up.
I get it.
That's why the Eagles fans are
Def Jam Vendetta.
You know,
I don't know.
Corey's seen some things, man. I don't think any.
Well,
is
famous rappers from Philly.
The Roots, Meek Mill, right off the top of my head. Obviously, Will Smith. Not much of like a. I wouldn't say he's like a.
I thought he was from West Philadelphia.
He was born and raised.
On the playground was where he spent most of his days.
Most of his days.
I'm glad we all know the lyrics.
Yeah,
that's good. We did it.
I almost guarantee that more people know the lyrics to the Fresh Prince theme song than the national anthem of the United States.
I guarantee.
That would be a fun poll to do.
We should. That's our new show. We're gonna go and interview random people
on the street,
at the mall or wherever, and be like, "Can you recite the lyrics to Fresh Prince?"
Yeah. And, oh my God, we just came up with a fantastic video.
I'm like, all right, now can you just recite? You don't have to sing it. Just recite the lyrics to the national anthem, please.
Thank God nobody listens to us because somebody might actually take this idea and run with it.
Someone's probably already done something.
This feels like a Jay Leno skit that would have been on Jay Leno,
late night television,
circa like 1998. 1998, Jay Leno's out in the streets.
Jimmy Kimmel still does that stuff. He does like fake interviews and like funny interviews with people.
Jimmy Kimmel is literally Jay Leno reincarnate with a little slightly edgier.
Do you like Jimmy Kimmel?
He's okay. He's not bad. He's not bad. I think Fallon might be my favorite.
See, I don't watch a lot of. I liked Fallon on his old show.
Yeah.
And I haven't. Not that I don't like his new show. I just haven't watched his new show.
I'm a Conan standout too. Like
I like old Conan, but I can't watch his new show.
I haven't, so I can't pretend like I'm like a Conan purist, and all I do is like I follow him everywhere.
I like Leno too. Back when I was younger,
great.
I liked Leno. That's what I used to watch.
Leno, I was thinking about this the other day. Leno was actually pretty much what I grew up on because I was watching the DDP, Hogan Leno stuff from a while ago.
Oh, nice.
I'm telling you, dude, this is why we need to do like the Nitro show. Like it would just be. There's a lot that I think you.
What kind of audience you got? There's no WCW fans out there except for you.
There are a lot of WCW fans out there.
You get a petition, we'll sign it. And
there's a lane for WCW related content. Joe, would you listen to a show of me and Corey just watching every WCW Nitro and?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Okay, he's lying.
I would like that show.
He's lying. Here,
speaking of WCW,
hold on.
Yeah.
Before that, because we're still talking about Philly a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Royal Rumble is in January.
Correct.
It's coming up. Those of you watching and listening, we would like you to order a T-shirt from us so that we can afford to go to NXT TakeOver Philadelphia. Deal? All right, if you want to order a T-shirt, just contact one of us. They're $15, and we will deliver them to you, whether it's being mailed to you free of charge or we will hand deliver them to you. But $15, get a T-shirt, rep Audio Suplex Live. We really want to go to NXT TakeOver, and we really don't want to spend the money that I'm supposed to be spending on diapers. My fiance will not allow that, so I need to sell these T-shirts.
Listen,
that we can go.
That would be a good move, man. And I have connections out that way. So if you're not opposed to couch surfing, I'm not opposed to couch sleeping. You feel me?
Well, I mean, a hotel room is not expensive.
We're also adults. We should probably look into like a hotel room.
Yeah, I don't mean sleeping on a couch.
We'll check the ASL slush fund, man. This might actually end up being a move.
Ladies and gentlemen, please buy a T-shirt. Again, $15, free delivery anywhere in the continental United States.
After I went on a like 20-minute rant about how WWE is like nothing but corporate shilling now, Corey decides
this is for content. So we're gonna go and we're gonna show you the experience
of going to an NXT
TakeOver show. We're gonna show you the road trip because we're gonna fucking drive there. We're not gonna make a plane. We're driving the 9.5 hours to Philly or whatever it is.
Maybe Corey will let me actually film him eating this time.
I'm fine if you film me eating if you ask me first. Don't just set up a tripod and start, I'm just going to record us eating this pizza. Bro.
So a while back when Corey, myself, and Ajax went to NXT TakeOver for Chicago, we decided, maybe we'll film some footage there on the way there and on the way back and at the show and stuff like that to kind of like put up on the YouTube channel or put up on the Facebook page so you guys can kind of see like what our experience was going to take over Chicago. And part of that was we went to a little pizza place, as you do when you go to Chicago.
It was
it was good. I've never had Chicago style deep dish by the slice. I can't remember what the place was called, but they just had slices of deep dish, which was really good.
It was one of the pizza,
whatever. So we ended up going there, and after we ordered our pizza, I annoyed the ever living shit out of Corey when I busted out my whole ass Joby tripod with my iPhone 7 Plus with a microphone attachment to it, and didn't it have like the fisheye lens on it too or something like that?
No fisheye lens. I don't think.
But basically, like I tried to record like some like time lapse footage of us eating pizza because I was like, oh, this would be like a cool little montage of our like.
The place we went was called The Art of Pizza.
Oh yes, fantastic by the way. Definitely worth checking out if you guys are in Chicago. But we I tried to like do this like little like montage of us eating and stuff like that to like do like a travel montage to open the video with. Never ended up using any of the footage. Now I have like stop motion or time lapse footage of Corey and myself eating pizza on my phone for no arbitrary reason outside of like it's a project that we never.
And the thing was, so he was setting it up. I'm like, don't film me. You can film yourself eating. Don't film me eating my pizza. And he's like, don't worry, you're not. I'm not filming. You're not in the shot.
It's 100% in the shot.
Fucking, he got me. I'm glad we didn't use the footage.
Yeah, it was. This is just one of many examples of either Corey or I getting like way too ambitious for our own good and saying, yeah, we brought like so much equipment with us in the car and we were gonna like record our thoughts of the show afterwards, and we just
Well, Anthony fell asleep.
I had to drive.
And yeah, it was just.
But this is when you guys like.
Oh, and I just found out I had Bell's palsy.
Oh,
that morning. That morning, we're going. Half my face is paralyzed.
Oh man, that was.
I can't even smile or blink on the one side of my face, and I'm like, I had to go to the doctor that day. They gave me medicine, and I'm like, I'm not going to NXT Takeover.
That was an insane trip.
And we saw Pete Dunne,
win
the UK Championship in the best match in WWE in probably the last 3 or 4 years.
Arguably so.
Maybe longer.
I did just get a textual
update
from our guest. He's apparently on his way. Said he missed his exit, and then he's on his way here. So
how did he contact you?
Did he just find a computer? I don't know. We'll figure out.
He had to stop somewhere.
Yeah.
I got to send him an email.
It's all right, man. So hey, listen.
Does he know the show starts at 1?
They were told.
Who's coming? Who's they? Is there another guest? Is there somebody else? Tell me for real.
Listen, okay. I'm going to pull back.
Mavis here?
We're going to pull back the curtain, and we're going to tell you guys that this is probably the least. But also,
don't pull back any curtains.
We're planning this show, but we're also just kind of free-forming it a little bit this week.
Why are you?
I don't know. Just because
Well, we're just trying to work with. We have a late guest, so we're working with what we got.
Yeah. So. But luckily for you, Corey and I are two of the most charismatic men you've ever heard come to your radio or YouTube via Audio Suplex Live. So,
well, we got a couple more subjects to talk about with the news. We're still on the news.
Well, I actually tried a WCW segue earlier, but you kept going on about Philadelphia. I was going to WCW segue to the whole fact that the WWE.
No one cares.
I care.
Oh,
listen, dude. When I tell you that Tony Schiavone was the voice of my childhood. I mean every word of it.
Your Uncle Tony?
Uncle Tony was the voice of me growing up. Like from like 1996 to like 1999.
Oh, you grew up quick.
Very quickly. I grew a lot in those
quick grow up.
3 years, man.
No, high school was rough.
So like one of the biggest things for me ever since like the post-invasion WWE, since like WWE has like essentially had like the monopoly at the top of the wrestling game, is that the underutilization of WCW concepts and ideas. And I think we're finally now getting to the point where WWE has realized that there is a lane for WCW fanhood and history, because WCW did contribute a lot to what professional wrestling is today. So I think it's cool for me in a number of ways because like I get to see WWE like revitalizing all this stuff that I like grew up loving.
But you don't get to see it.
But I don't get to see it because they're doing so. They're obviously we've already talked about they're doing this Starrcade house show at the Greensboro.
Why don't you just go?
Because I can't just go to North Carolina like that. I could, but I shouldn't because I'm busy.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But the point of the matter is they released a video earlier this week with Tony Schiavone, a former WCW commentator.
Reading cue cards.
And but I think that was the style they were going for with it.
No, they were not trying to make it look like he was reading off cue cards.
It was really funny to hear Tony Schiavone pronounce names of wrestlers that he's probably never talked about in his entire life.
I thought the exact same thing. I'm like, he probably has never had to say Shinsuke Nakamura in his
entire life. It's just like, it was a little rough to watch. I'm not gonna lie, because like, you know, I'll always remember Tony Schiavone for his like classic calls of like, you know, everybody makes fun of it, but like, this is the greatest night in the history of our sport. And, you know, he used to have his own little brand of emotion that he would put into commentary. This video was completely devoid of that entirely.
He's been out of wrestling for 20 years.
He's been on the podcast scene, and he's doing his whole show, kind of like going back and looking at.
He's got a podcast?
Yeah, he does actually. It's pretty solid.
Tony Schiavone, if you're not doing anything,
you
can come on our show. We'll have you as a guest.
He's quite the foul man. He likes to cuss. He's a good Twitter follow too.
What does he tweet about?
People being idiots.
Oh,
he does a lot of.
I would tweet.
He does like minor league baseball commentary and stuff like that. He was actually here in our home and native land of Toledo too long ago.
Never heard of it.
Calling a Mud Hens game versus I can't remember the.
Oh yeah, it was like WCW night or something.
No.
He wrestling night.
He did nothing with that. He was literally here just doing commentary for the minor league team that was playing the Mud Hens.
Wow.
Nothing to do with wrestling.
Wasn't a wrestling night?
Well, there was a wrestling night, but it wasn't the same night.
Oh.
There was a wrestling night where they did bring in Jake the Snake. Yeah.
Jacob the Snakeub. That's what I call him.
So, yeah, I mean, on one hand, it's super cool to me to see like WCW themes and ideas brought back into the fold a little bit. Like, I love the Starrcade brand. It just screams like old school wrestling.
Is that their WrestleMania?
That was their WrestleMania. So
wow.
Starrcade, and now it's a
heist or a house show, untelevised.
That is the other side of the sword. The other side of the sword is
Vince is like, oh yeah, we'll bring it back,
but we're gonna make it a house show. Like to me, it's just he who wins the war writes the history.
Yeah,
and it's Vince just basically saying like, listen, like I know you guys all love Starrcade, and I know you guys want to see a Flair in a cage match and stuff like that, but it's gonna be a house show. And it's definitely not going to be a televised network thing, even though we could make it that, which I think is just stupid. I think it's...
Maybe they'll advertise it not as a special so that they can sell out the tickets, and then they'll be like,
sometimes...
Surprise, motherfuckers.
I don't know Vince McMahon personally, but I think sometimes...
You don't? You know Sean McMahon personally?
No, I do know Sean McMahon, but I do not know Vince. And I think sometimes he gets way too caught up in his ego to realize that there's been instances where he's done really good things that would probably go against his ego, like hiring an Eric Bischoff as an on-air talent and stuff like that.
Right.
In 2017, wrestling is in such a weird place. Like, NXT is like a perfect example of how there are so many different types of wrestling fans on the planet right now, and WWE has a golden opportunity to have something for everybody. So NXT satisfies your desire for like a almost like an indie style promotion that you don't have to try really hard to watch because it's on the network every week. So you get that indie style, you get that indie style commentary, you get that small crowd feel, you get that from the NXT brand. If you're a fan of like the big over the top WWE style stuff, you still have, you know, Raw and SmackDown every week and then the weekly pay-per-views and stuff like that. Right. If you're into more the backstage drama, you have Total Divas. You can watch that stuff. You know, and there's people that I know that watch it because they're into like the whole behind the scenes.
I have never seen an episode.
Or if you're a little bit more serious about your behind the scenes, they have your WWE 24. I think there is a genuine lane now that people, you know, kids my age who grew up watching WCW now want to go back. And yes, you can go back and watch Nitro and stuff like that on the network. But I think not even doing it as a brand, but these like one-off specials of like an old school WCW pay-per-view would be super cool. Oh my God.
Try to replicate the aesthetic set and all that stuff.
Yes.
And like if they had a special thing.
If they were to roll out a WCW-esque Halloween Havoc pay-per-view with the set, with the whole nine.
Those are the 20-year anniversaries next year, isn't it?
But to put like, you know, modern talent in that and just kind of let the hair down a little bit, I would be there cash in hand. Like, let's go. Like, I genuinely would love that. But I think Vince's ego is holding him back from actually just letting it go and doing it.
I mean, he owns the rights. I don't know why you wouldn't.
Exactly. I think he's sitting on an actual cash cow right there. Because I know I don't speak for myself when I say that there are, you know, I'm in this weird generation that's between like Gen X and like millennial. And that's the generation that grew up with WCW Monday Nitro and the Monday Night Wars and everything like that think fondly back about the NWO and Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen and the LWO and the Luchadors and the Cruiserweight division and the television title.
Never heard of any.
I'm getting misty-eyed just thinking about it. Like, I would love a WCW style show. Like, and that's why I think Triple H is doing a good job. Bring back the War Games match. Who cares? Let's have fun. Let's do it. Wrestling is supposed to be fun.
Is Starrcade a 2-ring?
No, Starrcade was always, it was just like their big show. So like, it was like their
doing a ladder match?
No, so the older Starrcades from like the 80s.
I'm wondering about this year. What are they doing? I know
it's 2 cage matches for Starrcade.
There's 2 cage matches.
Yeah, 2 cage matches. It's a I believe,
when they said that, I was thinking two cages next to each other. I'm like, okay. So they're doing the same thing as War Games?
I see what you did there. No, so like they're doing 2 cage matches for the Starrcade house show. It's Charlotte versus Natty for the women's title, which once again, it's one of those like, so there's a history of Starrcade.
Is this before or after Summer or Survivor Series?
I believe it's before Survivor Series. I think it's at the beginning of November. But to me,
then it'll be face versus heel for the Raw versus SmackDown.
They have a really
they have a lot of heel versus heel or face versus face matchups.
They have a really cool opportunity right here, but I get what they're doing. They're trying to draw up, people going to house shows and people checking out like what's going on at house shows and stuff like that, because anything could happen at a WWE house show. Like,
that's why I think she might win.
That's why there's cage matches and title matches on it, and this is why it's a...
Flair's been in, her father's been in probably several Starrcade matches.
See, and that's the thing. Like, Ric Flair and cage matches go hand in hand with Starrcade, like you do, and
so then Charlotte's
WCW
winning.
hatred.
Charlotte's winning.
I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't. Just
why?
For the heat that it would generate. Because everybody who goes...
They want to make it even more so you should have been there because you missed out on this. And they'll have little clips that they'll show, like, you missed this.
They're bringing back the Rock and Roll Express for it. They're
to wrestle.
Yeah. Against Anderson and Gallows.
They're like 100 years old.
Let's go, dude. I'm hype. It's going to have the feel of like an old school WCW, NWA, house show pay-per-view kind of thing. I just wish it was on the network because there is such a lane for that kind of thing.
I don't know if we're going to have a guest today.
Well, maybe we'll just pontificate on WCW and how much I want it to come back.
We're at 1:43, and neither of us can stay late because we both have to
work
job
after this.
number 2.
I'm going to let him know that we might just have to...
I mean, I feel really bad.
That's all right.
He can come in. If he gets here in time, we'll talk to him for whatever time is left. Unfortunately, this is only an hour-long program, and it is live. As whoever is watching, I don't know if we have any viewers right now, would attest.
Yeah, we're down to 0 right now.
That's all right. We'll just keep talking. We're still on the news. We're 45 minutes into the news, guys.
This is why I wasn't worried about having a guest today, although we would like to have our guests onto the show. We like to have guests in general. I love having guests. But I'm not afraid of you and I just sitting here talking about what's going on in wrestling.
So are we going to continue the WCW train, or do you want to move on to...
We can move on. I've already pontificated about, which that is the word of the day, by the way, if you haven't noticed. Pontificated about WCW for way longer.
What does it mean?
Pontificated?
Yeah.
To sit here and talk about, to try to make my point on.
Okay.
So
I feel like that's what this show is about. See, you use a lot of big words, and I just want to know if you actually know what they mean.
I'm going to look it up. I'm almost 100% sure.
I believe you. It sounds about right.
Pontificate. It is a verb. Express one's opinions in a way considered annoyingly pompous or dogmatic. Actually,
that's the most accurate.
100% more accurate than my initial definition of pontificate.
Oh my God! So I'm glad I knew that. See, I've heard that word, and by how it's used, you get an idea of what it means. But I am a
textbook
pontificator.
Yeah. Wow. That is good to
know. I'm a textbook fornicator.
Yeah. Apparently at least once.
I did it one time.
At least once. So, okay, moving forward.
Sorry for the segue.
Not necessarily a news story, but it is wrestling related, so obviously we'll kind of touch on it a little bit. So earlier this week, Adam Blampied, now of, Cultaholic.
He's not.
Formerly now of Cultaholic, and then formerly of What Culture.
Specifically the wrestling channel.
Specifically the wrestling channel. Kind of ran into a little bit of hot water. Not even a little bit. A lot of hot water this week.
Like he got busted.
I'm actually going to pull up his exact statement.
Yeah, it was like 10 tweets. So for those of you that maybe don't know who he is, he's like the main... When you think of YouTube and wrestling talking shows, Adam Blampier is the guy you think of. He does a lot of top 10 videos.
He's one of the forefathers of like the YouTube wrestling boom the last couple of years.
For sure. His fantasy bookings and all that stuff, very popular. Unfortunately,
I'm not gonna read the statement. If you guys want to go through and read it, it's on his Twitter.
Some stuff happened. He's no longer working with Cultaholic.
I don't want to sit here and get into like the specifics of what he did or what he's done. If you guys want to research it, it's an interesting situation to kind of have a take on, and I don't want to lean us in one direction or the other on it. What I really want to kind of talk about is where this kind of affects wrestling YouTube, and what kind of situation this puts Cultaholics in coming out of the gate. They haven't officially launched yet, as far as I'm not mistaken.
They have delayed their launch. They're supposed to launch on the 1st.
Yes. Which they still have a good roster.
Their website is still launching, but there are no videos or anything, I don't think.
Yeah. They have a good roster of talent still with Adam Pacitti and King Ross and Jack the Jobber.
I think the only one of those guys I like is Pacitti.
You were never a big King Ross guy anyway.
No, I don't. I'm not a big fan of King Ross. He's not bad. I mean, I get his thing.
Yeah,
he's got some heat with me, so
yeah,
it worked.
So like it's just kind of interesting because like this could not come at a worse time for Cultaholics, because Adam Blampier was truly like the face of, he was the face of What Culture Wrestling, but then obviously with this separate venture,
and then with him leaving, they lost so many followers.
Oh yeah,
and I mean, even me, I still watch their videos, but it's not the same. It's definitely
I mean, I've tried to give them a fair shake. Obviously,
I still watch all their videos.
Yeah,
I'm a big What Culture fan. It's just the show definitely feels different. They got rid of some shows. They brought in some new shows on their YouTube channel, and it's just you can tell it's different.
Yeah, it's definitely a different vibe.
And it's not quite as entertaining.
And I will give Cultaholic like a fair shake when it comes out. Like I'm going to look past this whole Blampier thing, because obviously I know he's not representative of the entirety of their collective.
Right.
But I'll definitely give them a fair shake, because I'm interested to see what kind of content that they are planning on bringing to the table. My only question is going to be like, how effective is that content going to be now that they don't have the creative mind of an Adam Blampier behind it? So, I'm sure they'll be fine. That really kind of cut their legs out from under them right even before they got out of the gate.
That'd be like if we were like, let's rewind the clock. What episode are we on? 37?
37.
If we were around the clock 37 episodes ago, and we're getting ready to shoot our first episode, and Travis has a scandal and he has to leave the podcast. Imagine how terrible the show would be.
It's already pretty bad. And, I'm definitely not.
You're working towards a scandal. You've been trying to have a scandal.
I'm working my way towards a scandal, which actually we have to behave now, because my boss is acutely aware of the fact that I have a wrestling podcast, and has even actually put friends of hers onto our show. So
your boss?
Yeah, but I even told her, like, I notoriously do not talk about work on the show.
Right, yeah.
And as much as, we don't,
I don't think anybody knows exactly where I work. I have talked about where I work, but
yeah. We talk about like things in our personal lives, but I would never I've never said nary a bad thing about my place of employment or anything like that, nor would I. So
I'll only talk negatively about businesses I've formerly worked at.
Yeah, well, where do you want to start, man?
Well, what was your least favorite?
Oh God, we're actually going to go down this road.
Well, let's pretend we're our own guests today.
Let's go. Okay.
I haven't had a lot of jobs. Have you had a lot of jobs?
I've had a good amount. I've actually stayed pretty steady in most places.
Are you typically retail?
I've worked a lot of retail. Retail's been kind of my career. So,
okay. So of those retail jobs, not counting any current employers, what are your least favorite?
I won't say the name of the employer.
Why? What do they sell? Is that too much information too?
They sell Bullet Club t-shirts.
Okay. Perfect.
If that tells you exactly what employer we're talking about.
We won't say who it is.
We won't tell you what employer it was.
Is it an online store? Because I only know of one in-store.
Yeah, just use your imagination.
Okay, go ahead.
What actual brick and mortar retail store would sell that kind of thing? So I worked there for probably about 7 months.
I remember when you worked there.
Yeah.
I remember.
It was just, I'd come from a different retail environment previous to that. There was a much different attitude and a much different vibe. So going from where I was before that, which I'll actually say the name of that company. I worked for Vans previous to that.
Why would you leave Vans?
Known for their canvas sneakers and
that don't last very long. I wear through those quick.
Yeah.
I wear the same pair of shoes every day, though.
So I worked for Vans for quite a period of time, and then I kind of got stagnant in my career there, so I moved over to the Bullet Club after a while. And at the time, it seemed like...
Was it a lateral move or a promotion?
It was kind of a lateral move, but with the idea of... One, my position that I was in at Vans was never really supposed to be my position anyway. It was just kind of happenstance that I had that position. Mm-hmm. And then it was more of a lateral move because my logic at the time was there were no other Vans retail stores in the area. So for me to advance my career with them, I would have had to move well beyond where I was at.
Or hope that somehow get a spot there. But
so the theory at the time was there's more Bullet Club stores than there's more Too Sweet stores.
But now there's not. I mean, in Toledo, I think I can only think of the one.
There's one.
So I mean, you're tied up.
Yeah. So I ended up going to the Bullet Club.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like it was trying to fit like a square peg in a round hole. Like, it was just a really bad fit because I had a much different attitude coming from the previous job that I was at.
Was the Bullet Club the job before your current job?
There were a few things peppered in between.
Oh, I remember you have worked in some other places.
Yeah, few things, nothing really of note. But those were probably the three most notable. I've had a couple of part-time jobs here and there to supplement the old income and stuff like that before I got into my current job where I'm actually like, where I need to be.
Hot shit.
Yeah, I'm okay. So. Yeah. So what about you, man? I know you've had a bit of
I haven't had that many jobs. I've worked retail my entire working career up until 3 years ago. I made the switch to being a cook, so which I love. I love cooking. It's fun. I like making people happy. I feel like I make people happy more with food than I did selling them video games.
You've brought me food. Not that we're going to say the name of that retailer, or did you already?
No, I will. I have no problems. No qualms.
Well, we both spent time at GameStop at one point.
Yeah, GameStop. You know what I'll say about GameStop is I enjoyed working there. There was definitely a lot of perks. Intuitive to that time in my life, like, oh great, I get to play all these video games, perfect, and that's what I was into at the time. So it was like a dream come true.
During my early to mid 20s, GameStop was like the perfect job. You take the game home for the weekend, play some Call of Duty with your dudes.
And the thing about GameStop is, if you're in a management role, then it's a groovy, easy job. Nothing too crazy.
It's pretty cushy,
and you're getting hours. If you're not, you're part time. You're getting nothing. Like you literally bare bone hour. Maybe in a bigger city you might get more, but. In my experience with the GameStop, as a GA as they're called, you get like 3 hours a day, 3 hour shifts, and you maybe work 2 or 3 days a week, maybe.
I went into this wondering where this episode was going to go.
Here we go.
And I'm actually really excited with where this one ended up. Because I honestly, if you are listening to this, Corey and I are actual people. Like we have like a history of jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
we have.
So with GameStop, I think it's all about where you're at, what store you're at, who you work with. Definitely plays into that. Because when I first started working there. Matt, good friend of the show, he was my boss. He hooked me up with a job, and that's where I met Wes, who's another good friend of the show.
Absolutely. Shouts out to Wes, by the way.
Yeah, so working at that store was great. It was fun. I loved everybody I worked with. It was super laid back.
Yeah, I just had a good time.
Wasn't stressful. I was not stressed at that job at all, and I learned a lot. And then I got a promotion to another store, which, that was a cool experience, too. I did learn a lot at that store as well, and I liked my experience there. And then I moved to another store, and I had a terrible experience. I did not like my coworkers. My boss was, like, the worst.
Yeah.
I've never really liked the district manager ever. He is not a fan of mine, nor am I a fan of his. And I just hate the way he always bullshit me. And act like he's my best bud. I'm like, dude, I don't like you, and vice versa. I don't like act.
And that you get a lot of that in retail. Like, luckily for me, I'm at a point now where a lot of my peers that I work with are genuinely. I'm like, okay, I could vibe with this person, and everybody where I'm at currently are very clearly defined roles, and I like that a lot. So but yeah, we've definitely had our paths, man. But that was kind of me with when I was at the BizCliz.
Yeah.
It was, I think it would have been a better job had I been around people that I kind of vibed with more at that point in my life.
My first job, I got this right. I worked at Best Buy for 5 years, right out of high school. That. So that's where I learned all my salesman skills.
Yeah.
I remember being in high school and being afraid to do presentations in front of the class. Like, I hated talking. Public speaking was not my thing. I was not about that life. So when I became retail, you're like, oh, you have to go up to strangers and ask them if you can help them and try to figure out. And then when I moved into like cameras, I have to actually discuss things with people I don't know. And that really changed completely who I was
Oh,
as far
yeah.
as in a public stance. Whereas now, I have 4 jobs where I host different things, like where I have to talk to people that I don't necessarily know
And you've become
on a weekly basis.
You've become quite the talker. Like now we have a show where we talk.
have a show. I feel like you do a lot more talking on the show than I do.
Yeah.
And that's just because, and it's because I talk all week for my other jobs, honestly. I mean,
I'm a pontificate.
I
man.
host a lot, and people have to listen to me talk a lot. So I feel like whenever there's someone else that wants to talk a whole bunch, I'm like, go for it, man. And
Yeah.
I'll chime in with what I think.
It's a good dynamic.
When it pops up. But yeah, that job changed me a lot. That job was cool. I left that job because management sucked. Management changed over time, and then I didn't get a promotion. And I was like, well, you guys don't think you don't find any value in me? Then I was like, I quit. I didn't have another job lined up. I was just like, I'm done.
He pulled a Steve Austin, man. He picked up his ball and he went home.
Yeah, they didn't give me the title shot I asked for, even though I
He
felt I
pulled an Austin
deserved it.
and now you're going to go back on the indie scene.
I went to GameStop and became management. I mean, I got hired in pretty much in management at GameStop after I was part-time at Best Buy, working full-time hours with no benefits. And I got hired into GameStop as pretty much, I was hired in as a GA for 2 weeks or something, and then they promoted me. And I was like, this is way better.
This has been the most slice of life episode we've ever had. And I love it. I love the fact that this is becoming more of like a slice of life kind of feel.
Well, at the end of the show, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, but
we just talked about shitty jobs.
This is
literally those are like the 2 jobs I've had.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been lucky enough, like my time at Vans, especially the first time around, was fantastic. My time at the Bullet Club, pretty rough. My time currently has been really good. I've actually made a lot of really good friends through the current job that I'm at. I've been blessed.
I like the place that you work at currently.
Yeah.
Although I like Vans a lot too. So I go to Bullet Club sometimes. I don't really buy a lot of stuff there. But
I had to actually go there recently for Tyler's wedding because we all wanted to wear. We wore the Bullet Club shirts underneath the suits, and we got the appropriate. I already had the Kenny Omega shirt, but now I got the Kenny Omega lapel button to complete the look. So we had
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I had the Kenny Omega shirt with the Kenny Omega lapel button.
So you all had different shirts?
Yeah. So one dude had the
American Nightmare.
No, nobody could get the Cody one. Somebody had I had the Kenny Omega. I think Tyler had the regular, just standard issue Bullet Club. Somebody had the Villain Club, and then somebody had the Young Bucks. Yeah. So we had like the whole squad was there, dude. It was so funny because there was a clear divide between like the half of the wedding party that understood the Bullet Club references and why we were too sweet in each other every 5 minutes as we were a little intoxicated, and then
these fucking wrestling marks.
there was like a clear divide between like the half of the people who were like throwing up the too sweet and the other half who were like, I don't know what the hell these assholes are doing.
Are they in a gang?
Oh man, poor Tyler's wife. Like I made her too sweet me, I think no less than 10 times throughout the day. I was like, too sweet me, dude. I actually made that when we did the practice run of the ceremony the day before.
Yeah.
Instead of kissing, because I didn't want them to obviously.
Please, too sweet.
Yeah, you may now
your
too
bride.
sweet the bride. So. And that's how wrestling has permeated every aspect of my life.
All right. Well, we'd like to take a minute to thank our guests for coming in.
Absolutely, Joe.
Sorry. Jason Franchise, unfortunately, your schedule, and he did have to travel and try to figure out how to find his way here.
Don't take this as an indication of us burying a guest. We would love to have you back on at some point. You know, it's unfortunate that timing didn't schedule out this way.
Yeah,
you know.
I will say this is. I remember the first time I came here, and it was hard to find. It is in the middle of a bunch of
we're kind of tucked away,
forest and cornfields, and we're in the middle of nowhere, Michigan, just north of Toledo. And he's from just south of Toledo.
Yeah, about like southeast of Toledo.
So he had a bit of a drive. So
yeah,
and he doesn't have a cell phone, so it's hard to contact him.
Yeah, so it's all right though. We'll reschedule. You know, it's going to be an interesting couple months for Audio Suplex Live here. We got a lot of kind of stuff brewing here that we're talking about. You know, maybe reformatting a little bit, maybe kind of switching up the formula a little bit. I do like this kind of slice of life stuff that we kind of pepper in. I don't want that to ever leave.
Oh my god!
I will
give me
like
a little slice of something.
I would like to sit here and pontificate, if you will.
Oh my god!
I would like to sit here and talk with you about slice of life stuff more often, man. It's fun. It's good to kind of just sit back and chat with a buddy.
We'll have I'm thinking once my daughter comes on Tuesday and she's here, I'm gonna have a tally of how many diapers I've changed, and we'll just update the audience on that.
I can't wait for that. That'll be fun.
Hopefully the number stays low.
Diaper count 2017.
Hashtag diaper count 2017 will be going full.
I'll count them because I don't plan on changing.
Well, we got to get content somehow, man.
Well, the thing is my plan is to have her potty trained within 6 months. I know.
Really?
I've heard that's impossible. I've heard that's absolutely insane.
Incredibly ambitious.
I mean, usually it takes 2-3 years.
Yeah.
6 months. Well, we're going to focus on it.
All right, man. I like that.
Yeah, I don't want to have to buy any diapers. We got a bunch of diapers from the diaper party. I'm done buying diapers. I'm done at 0.
Once you guys are done, you're done.
Like, sorry, you're just pooping your pants now. So, and if you don't like that, then there's the toilet.
Jesus Christ. Do we have a diaper count? Is that what Joe's working on?
No.
Joe's working feverishly on something. So, going into a couple things that we got going on that we can say that we got going on is we have the NOW footage from Glass City Havoc 3 coming out very shortly. We're wrapping up on the editing of that. So, if you guys are looking forward to that, bear with us.
It's coming.
Corey's got a baby on the way. My shoot job is getting a little crazy right now with holiday preparations. So we're trying to get it out as timely as possible. I would say we're about 70% done with what we're working on. So we're going to get some quality stuff out there to you guys soon. I know Ajax and I were on commentary the other night and had an absolute blast doing commentary for the matches that we did. So
I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah, so it'll be the first time without Corey on commentary. Corey will still be coming to you via the studio for a lot of the footage there, but
I'll be coming to you. I'll be coming.
Don't you dare. Need to remind you that higher ups know about the show now. shadowy corporate figures know what's going on here. So
all right. Well, thanks for tuning in. You can catch us on all of the things that you know about already. We'll see you guys. Do you have anything else before?
No, that was it.
Okay, we'll see you guys
soon.
Maybe next week.
Hey, this is Joe, producer of Audio Suplex Live. We'd like to give a shout out to the band Wax for intro and outro music. Make sure you check them out at the link below.
You've been listening to the Nerd Complex Podcast Network.